We're live.
Great. Okay. Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 11th. This is the Natural Resources and Energy. We're starting up again today, talking about chloride. And we're joined today by some folks from the Agency of Transportation. And so I'd love to just start with like opening it up for anything, that you all want to say to us. Hear about the training program and other things that we think would be good as follow-up. And then I think we have some questions for you as we move forward as well. Craig, I don't know if you want to start, or if you don't want to, like, that's okay too.
Sure. No, Craig and Jeremy know Vermont Agency of Transportation. Thanks for having us back. I'm happy to answer any questions when we get to the Q&A portion, but I think it's probably most important for you to hear from our experts on dust suppression and our training program.
Yes, exactly.
So I will pass the torch.
Okay, whoever wants to.
You've got a presentation, right? I do have a presentation that will, my intention with that is to provide an overview of the LTAP program within Vermont, which might answer some of your questions, but
Okay.
hopefully won't create more.
It's always the way, but always glad to learn more. So.
Is there a way or?
So
Well, if you didn't send me the presentation.
So what you could do is join the Zoom.
Yeah.
And then share through the Zoom.
Okay.
Send you a Zoom link? Yes.
Is that the PowerPoint is on there?
Yeah, I sent a PDF version, but I because I was thinking a handout, but
Well, what would you like to do?
I-
Because it's on our website.
sure.
Maybe
I guess if you
skip
send me the
the
link, it'd be the easiest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you. Take a minute to. Well, the Zoom invite.
And no rush. It's all good. It's not.
Let's see.
Madam Chair, if you'd like, I don't have a presentation, but I can talk about dust suppression while we're
Yeah,
putting out the logistics, if that works.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Todd, is it okay if we like switch you out for now?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, and we'll get you back up here shortly.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Jeremy Reed. I'm the Chief Engineer for the Agency of Transportation. And principally, I'm just want to give you some input on the dust suppression component of the bill. And so just to give you a little bit of background on how little salt we use for dust suppression, we pulled the last 5 years where we actually paid for the salt. So there's 2 approaches we use. For the bigger projects where we know it's a legitimate expense to the contractors that we can predict, we'll include a pay item calcium chloride for salt and for dust suppression. The rest of our projects, it's just an ancillary activity that they can build in to their sort of work. Because of that, we don't have hard data for what the entire program would use. But I think it's safe to say that what we paid would probably capture 75 to 80% of it, right? So we may not have the 50-pound bag that's spread once a year type thing. So 2019 was a low point, but we only used 3.84 tons. And the high point was 2021, where we used 470.5 tons. Roughly speaking, we basically use 250 tons a year. And if we wanted to add in another 50 tons that isn't captured, just as, those 50-pound bags that may be spread, I think that would be a very conservative estimate. But again, there's some variables there, obviously the frequency in which it rains, the manner project we're doing. Typically, these are going to be long linear dirt projects with a lot of exposed soil to traffic, and which we would then, use this volume. I think our position at this point is that those numbers reflect such a small usage. The administrative headache of trying to track all those 50-pound bags is very challenging, and we don't want to get into a place where we pay for it on every single project. Because again, there's an administrative hurdle there, that doesn't bring to like any benefit. The other thing I would draw a distinction between salt used for dust control and used for snow and ice control is we're applying this onto open soil, and it's basically being absorbed by the soil. There's virtually no likelihood that this would become, migrated through surface water into a receiving body of water. So it's basically absorbed into the soil. Now, yes, it becomes absorbed into the groundwater, and there's a more indirect route, but it's not like it's running into DIs or concentrated water flows.
Go ahead.
Just for clarification, the 250 tons of salt, is that just for the summer dust suppression?
Correct.
That doesn't include the winter, right?
Correct. The winter, and it's highly variable in the winter.
Right.
Off the top of my head, I think we estimate 130,000 tons per winter, but that can vary dramatically. So as you can see, we're not even in the margin of error year to year for snow and ice control.
Wait, 130,000 tons in this
For snow and ice control,
versus,
250.
my brain heard 250,000.
No, I'm sorry.
No, that was my brain. So another question is, I understand needing dust control in the summer, that clearly makes sense, but how does the salt help with dust control?
It helps with the absorption of any moisture. So whether it's water that we apply or just absorption of water in the air, it just makes the soil more conducive to absorbing that water and keeping the dust down.
Ah, okay. So is there anything else that have that same property that's not salt?
Not really. Obviously, I think contractors' first option is just use water.
Yeah,
And depending on the logistics of how much water, where they can actually get that water, they'll use salt to help with that.
will they use less water if they make
Yes,
it salt water?
yes.
Okay.
Well, they don't make a brine, they don't make salt water. It's a separate application.
Oh.
But when water alone isn't working, that's when they'll introduce salt.
So when they apply the salt, is it liquid salt?
No,
Oh, it's granular salt.
yeah, it's small granular.
Oh.
It's not like rock salt, generally speaking.
It's like table salt kind of.
Well, bigger than that, but on sidewalks, sometimes you see that looks like little,
Crystal.
yeah, I mean, it's not the big rock salt that's like a quarter inch, 3/4 inch
Yeah.
diameter, it's much finer, again, the heat and that absorption.
Okay, so why wouldn't they use salt water?
I think you just need them to mix it, it's another process,
Ah,
right? So you gotta go get the water, and then you get a better container for the salt, and then you gotta somehow mix that and make it a relatively homogeneous mixture.
but don't they have, and I learned this from your DOT guys, doesn't applying the salt crystals, isn't there bounce?
Not
From
for,
that?
not for dust suppression, because we're applying it directly to the dirt,
Uh-huh.
which is generally much more of an open surface, right? Because we're trying to keep the dust down, so it's not a hard packed like pavement. Because if that was the case, there'd be no real need for dust suppression. So this is when there's a lot of dust in the air and there's a lot of fines sort of floating. And that's what the dust suppression is meant to do. It's not necessarily, but it's two totally different objectives.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, it works because it's absorbed by the soil.
Uh-huh.
It isn't likely to run off.
Got it.
Like,
Okay,
if there's rain predicted, we want to obviously spread it, because the rain can provide that dust suppression for free.
right, okay, thank you.
So I had the same question about how dust suppression works, so I just wanna make sure I'm understanding. So if you add salt to the soil, it helps it retain water better
And absorb it.
and absorb it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so if you take the salt and you just bug or gravel bog, and you sort of spread it, over time it gets darker,
Mhm.
and that's where it's absorbing that moisture, even if it's just from the moisture from the air.
yeah, okay, interesting, yeah, fair
So
enough.
it's, the
Yeah.
salt doesn't really stop the dust suppression, it's the moisture that traps it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're brining a turkey, right, the salt
Yeah,
helps absorb the water and. Right, provides it more.
That's a good,
Right.
that's in here.
Fair enough. Great, well, thank you. Any other questions, for Mr. Reed? Great, thank you. Super, and, Mr. Reed, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, good.
I'd just like to clarify,
Yeah.
Mr. Eden did send me,
Oh,
in fact,
okay.
his presentation, it is on our website, it has been since 7:30 this morning.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yes.
Working, great, so. Well, thank you for having me. My name's Todd Eaton, I'm the manager of the Vermont Local Roads Program, Vermont's LTAP. LTAP stands for Local Technical Assistance Program. We are a two-person team. Myself and Holly Hayden, who is our program coordinator. I do a lot of the travel and work directly more with the municipalities and obviously decision-making things, and Holly does a lot of our systems management and I think that covers that. So what is an LTAP? If you're not familiar, Local Technical Assistance Program, since 1983, it's a federal mandate for every state to have one. And so the local technical assistance programs, they work directly with the municipalities, provide training. About 50, it's kind of a 50-50 split, whether the LTAP is housed within an AOT or within a university. The ones that are housed within universities tend to have a lot more to do with research, and the ones that are within the AOTs tend to focus much more on training and professional development within the local agencies. Obviously, our mission to foster safe, efficient, environmentally friendly surface transportation systems, improving the skills and the knowledge and the ability of local agencies to effectively do that. From the federal side, we have 4 focus areas as far as the training and the technical assistance that we provide. Obviously, safety, infrastructure management, workforce development, and organizational excellence. We do, as part of our training program, we have what we call a Road Scholar program, and that is broken into 5 different areas: environmental equipment, safety, supervisory, and technical. So this is a accreditation program that is, as the road crews or anybody that is affiliated with the municipality in any way that has anything to do with their highway infrastructure. They can earn credits as they take classes and courses, rather they're online or in person. And all of those classes, you know, they earn credits for these different 5 focus areas. The Road Scholar program has 4 levels. There's level 1, 2, 3, and Master's, Master Road Scholar. And as a municipal representative works their way through that, we have a series of celebration and awards as far as they earn those different levels. We also began offering grant programs to support highway temporary traffic control safety. As you know, as you guys are familiar, the municipalities have a lot of financial constraints, so these particular grants are very much focused on the smaller municipalities to assist them in having the appropriate equipment to provide safety as they are doing work on the road. We also have a leadership program focused on professional development for the highway managers, and that is a 9, well, last year we did it in 9 months. So once a month, they got together for an entire day. We went through several different leadership topics and training. We're condensing it a little bit this year. It's still gonna be the 9 sessions, but it'll be over the course of 4 months rather than 9 months. The final project of this particular program is that they do a presentation of some type. You know, and it's, the intention there is to give them some experience and assistance with making a presentation or building a case before their select boards or their communities. Some information as far as the types of training that we have and the kind of where that's attended. Obviously, equipment is a very popular one. Providing equipment training, especially since the workforce has shifted and changed so much over the last few years. So the equipment training became much more in demand. That in addition to that equipment training, part of that is CDL, commercial driver's license training. We provide one part of that to the municipalities, and the municipalities provide the other part as for satisfying federal motor carriers requirements for CDL drivers being able to test. And this graphic is to illustrate that our goal is to offer our trainings all over the state, trying to reduce the travel time down to about to an hour or less, just to reduce any type of overtime costs that the municipalities obviously want to try to steer away from. And so that, you know, with the intention of trying to remove any barriers from the municipalities being able to participate in training. So hopefully that gives a little bit of an overview of the program. As far as winter maintenance training, specifically, we do offer, I have 2 contractors that we bring in, one's from Massachusetts, one is from Maine. And the curriculum is very, how should I say, the information that we provide in those trainings is on par with Green Snow Pro in New Hampshire. It's Green Snow Pro obviously is a much longer program than what we offer. So we, generally speaking, we offer anywhere between 4 and 8 of these trainings a year. And so that we limit our class sizes to about 20 to 25. So between 4 to 8, that gives us the ability to train up to 100 to 200 people or municipal representatives a year. On average, I would say there may be 1,000 across the state. If we were to assume an average road crew size of about 4 individuals per town, about 1,000 is kind of a safe estimate. Any other questions?
So many questions. I think this is great. Fabulous that you all are doing this. So I think you had a slide that showed who were the students for these courses. And a lot of them were local folks, but I'm assuming that you never have, like these aren't available to private contractors.
It's not. So we are under state mandate to provide all of our training to at no cost, but specifically to municipal officials. Yes, so we do not accept any private industry.
And when you say that the program that you have is comparable anyway to the Green Snow Pro, I mean, can you just tell us more about that? Like how is it comparable? Because I think of them as mostly dealing with salt, but I also don't necessarily know all the things about their program. So how do you all deal with salt in your trainings?
The main emphasis as far as winter maintenance as an overall thing. So salt is a part of that, right? And then the main emphasis is to efficiently mechanically remove snow from the roadway surface. Primarily paved surfaces, you don't use salt on the dirt road, correct? So the idea is that how much salt is necessary to be able to efficiently mechanically remove salt or snow from roadway surfaces. When I first started in this program almost 11 years ago now, I mean, if I can put it in some simplistic terms, the way that many people saw things is I'm going to put enough salt out to melt the snow. it's the wrong way to think about it, because then you're using too much. And of course, that's a huge impact on their highway budget. And so the municipalities are very motivated in the information that we provide to reduce their cost and increase their efficiency, because obviously they want to bring a good product to their communities, but they want to be able to do that economically responsibly, environmental responsibly, and efficiently. So the information that we provide is on par or similar, or in many ways the same as what the Green Snow Pro would promote, in the sense of how much is enough salt, how, effective use of liquids to, again, reduce the amount of salt, and the efficiency of that action that salt provides to break the bond between the snow and the paved surface, so that it can be mechanically removed.
So the trainings that you offer, you're limited, like you can't offer them to private contractors because of federal regulation or because of state regulation?
Our federal funds is intended to provide technical assistance and training to municipalities. So anybody in a municipality that's affiliated in some way with the roadway network.
So it's not prohibitive, like they're not, I'm trying to imagine, like, is there, let me back up. The way that this bill is framed, envisions contracting with a third party to offer trainings, around proficiency with, salt spreading. And, would be available to private contractors, but it also sounds like you all are doing incredible work. And, can we build on the great work that you're doing? Maybe that's not something you want to do. Any thoughts about the question of, do you do it in-house? Could you offer a program like this in-house where people are paying to, perhaps private contractors are paying to participate? Or would you prefer to just have that be all third party?
Currently, we would have no capacity to be able to provide any training through the private industry. One being that we have no way of exchanging money from private industry. The other, as I understand, and for the other LTAPs that provide, for instance, the T2 program in New Hampshire, they're not using the federal funds that supply it's a different funding pot that they would use to provide that training to private industry.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes, go ahead.
So just to pick up on that, if we were to provide you with additional funding, maybe another staff member, could you offer concurrent trainings where you're training municipals and private contractors about salt, especially the winter? I think you train on a lot more than just the winter salt usage.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah,
That has to do, like those 5 areas: safety, environmental, all of those.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to, not reinvent the wheel, so if you're doing this training for one subset of the population that we're looking to target with this program, and we could build on that by giving you additional resources. Is that feasible, or is there a barrier to that?
It's
I know you're in this tough spot, so you probably have to ask your boss before you make it.
It's difficult to be able to estimate what would be necessary to be able to expand that training, and I think that would be a huge cost for the word I'm trying to say.
Yeah, cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things we could contemplate is asking them to come back and let us know whether it's possible.
Yeah.
So you have time to discuss amongst yourself and come back with an official report.
Yeah. Any other questions, Mr. Mann? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your great work. Super. And anything you want to follow up with?
Not made a note to follow up with that question. Is that
Great. Super. Okay, it is 10:30. We are not scheduled for a break until 10:45. We do have, GFO coming to, do a fiscal note for this and just walk us through a fiscal note on this. I'm wondering if, folks would like to, look over, because we did get a new draft of, the bill, and so perhaps without going over, any of the, the ground that we haven't covered yet, just look at the changes that, Ledge Council made so far. How does that sound to you? So you use a little time to go over the changes that, like,
Michael?
he's not here.
Scheduled for 11:30.
Oh,
I'm wondering if it makes sense to, look at the work that he did so far.
oh.
Well,
Yeah,
you have-
I would think it's more helpful to do that with you.
With him,
Yeah, thank you.
because the alternative is that we could take our break now. Because we otherwise don't have anything until 11. Just take this on break. I suppose, unless folks have other thoughts. What you need to do.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
always, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll